A very warm welcome to another edition of the Magpie Circle podcast. And we've got a championship winner with Notts County today. A key member of probably the most successful Notts County team for the best part of 2 decades. Midfield engine room. Very warm welcome to Neal Bishop.
Cheers, mate.
Hey, great to have you, Neal. We've been trying to get you for a couple of weeks now, so we're delighted to have you on board. Today we're going to take a look back at your time at Notts. A little bit of look back at your career as well, where you are now. And I think it's fair to say you certainly did the hard yards before getting into the Football League at the age of, I think it's like 25 at Barnet. You've clocked up 500, 600 appearances. You didn't miss many games once you were in. Put into context of your career, your spell at Notts County, how important to that was you? How much did you enjoy it?
It's got to be up there. It was Barnet was my start, but obviously going to Notts County was a massive step for me. Barnet was basically my start in the Football League. I had 2 years there, and then Notts County come in and with the history of the club. Tommy Johnson was there at the time. Tommy spoke to me. It just seemed like not you'd made it, but it was a proper club, a proper league club. The stadium and the history and everything. And I had no idea what was going to happen when I come in, but I was desperate to get. As soon as I knew they were interested, I was desperate to get there. And like I said, for my career, it's got to be up there for 4 years there, a large part of it as well. And I thoroughly enjoyed my time there. For the majority of it, anyway, it was good. And like I say, it was the only league I won in my career, so it's got to be right up there.
Let's just wind the clock back a little bit, because you certainly had to put the hard yards in. And I think there's a story, isn't there? You grew up in Stockton in the North East. You're a Borough fan. And your brother, played with your dad in the same team, yeah? Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I played for Billingham Town, and I think it must be about 1920. And we were at some place called Town Lawn at Tuesday night, which is bleak. It's in the middle of nowhere. Honestly, it can be August and -5, It's in the sticks outside somewhere, and we didn't have any players. And obviously, my dad played good level semi-pro, and my brother was just coming through as well. Obviously, he's younger than me. So the gaffers rang us up, and my dad was driving me at the time, and my brother was in the car. You haven't got a spare. Your dad's there. Have you got a spare pair of boots? We're short. I think we had the bare 11. And he played. I think he played centre half. My brother was a left foot. He played left back. Obviously, I played midfield. I think we drew 2-2. I think I was the third worst Bishop on the pitch that night as well. My dad showed me up, but no, and he made the local paper, and obviously we got a little cut out, and it's a good thing to look back to. It was really good. But yeah, my dad loved his football, and he didn't have to be asked twice. I still tell you, minute 1 to minute 90. These days, my dad, he's got a memory of an encyclopedia where football's concerned. But yeah, it's something to look back on fondly. Yeah.
What age was he then, your dad?
Oh God, he'll have been well nearly 50.
Oh.
He'd been well into his 40s, but like I say, he's done well. Like, he looks after himself. My dad, touch wood, I've got the same physique. He's tall, he's lean, he doesn't carry any weight. So, yeah, he loves his football. My dad.
Are you all Middlesbrough fans then?
Oh yeah, well, obviously I started up there. It wasn't even academy when I started out with School of Excellence. My dad took us when we were kids. That's how I got into it. And I'm a firm believer, a bit like you said, you support your local team. Got no time for these Man United fans who live in Stockton and Middlesbrough and things like that. Don't talk me about that. Don't get me started on that. We'll be here all day. But no, support my local team, Middlesbrough. Yeah, when I was a kid, following them up and down the country, obviously gutted when I got released from the academy. But they're still my team to this day. I mean, it's hard work trying to bring up my little boy to be a Middlesbrough fan when we live just outside Doncaster now, so it's going to take some doing that, especially as at the minute. Obviously, you can't take him to the games and get him involved, but he'll be getting himself a Middlesbrough kit for Christmas off his old man for certain.
Very good. Now, I'm not sure whether you would, because you'd only be a young lad. I come from the Jurassic era, but 91 when Notts got promoted into the top flight, they beat Middlesbrough. 2-legged semi-final playoff before they went on to beat Brighton. That was 91. So you would have been what, 8 or 9? Could you remember that? I think Colin Todd was the manager. You had Bernie Slavin up front. Very, very close games, those two. Very close.
Yeah, I was born 81, so yeah, that'll have been 10. I remember Colin Todd, I remember Bruce Rioch, Bernie Slavin. I don't remember the game specifically, but I certainly remember that era, and I'd be shocked if my dad wasn't there.
Great occasion. Last time we got up, we had Neil Warnock as manager. Your lot's got him now. You won't be far away this year, I'll tell you that much.
No, I like him. He seems to be a rare breed left in the game these days, but his record at that level is outstanding. I think you've seen what he's done already. The Middlesbrough fifth, with pretty much the same squad as he had last year. I think he's got one or two or three signings in, but freebies. He's not spending any money. It just shows you what you can do if you get on your training ground and you spend some time with your players. I think I tweeted some of the other. I can't stand these managers who say, "Oh, it's not my squad. Don't judge me on these players." Blah blah blah. Well, they are, because you're managing. Do your job, get the training bits, work with the players. Don't pass it off on the book on someone else. He's done that. He's got in there, and like I say, it's very much the same squad that just survived to relegation league last season. And yeah, I like him. I always have liked him. I think he comes across really well. He comes across as someone who knows what he's doing, and he's certainly getting the best out of that group at the minute.
Well, he's very much managerial Hall of Fame in Notts County, absolutely. Yeah. So because you didn't become a pro footballer until, 20s, did you start having to do a trade, career, follow it? What were you up to in your teens, early 20s?
Yeah, I was window fitting, working for a glazing company ran by Jamie Pollock, the ex-Middlesbrough player. Oh, right. And he was manager of Spennymoor at the time, who I was playing for. So he got me in there, and I was quite happy. I'd got an house, I was playing part-time, earning decent money, playing part-time, earning a decent wage. Just got me out sorted, and then Scarborough come in when I think I'd got a Whitby by this point. Like I said, I'd just done the rounds non-league. They come in. So
you've had Scarborough and York conference or National League, whatever it's called. That's kind of a similar locality. How did you end up down at Barnet? Because on the face of it, it's not an obvious move, is it?
No, well, I played for the England C team, which is basically the England. There's an England team in there for non-league. Yeah. Basically, I finished the season at York. We got beaten in the playoffs. Unfortunately, the game Morecambe went up. They beat us in the playoffs. That's a running thing through my career, getting beaten in the playoffs. But we'll touch on that. And then my contract was up, and then I went down and played for them in a little tournament at the end of the season. And the manager of them was Paul Fairclough, who was manager of Barnet at the time, and he just, an informal conversation, would have been interested. I said, yeah, and then it got done. Again, I suppose it was a big-ish decision, moving away from home. Like I say, I was at York at the time. Billy McHugh was manager. Really, really got along with him. But it was like now or never really for my football league at 25. I thought if I don't do it, I'll always regret it. So I rolled the dice and decided to go for it.
Because culturally, I presume it's a big change from Yorkshire to North London.
Oh yeah, it is. It was crazy. Like I said, when I was at York and Scarborough, it was always a northeast car school, so I'd always travel. I'd spend maybe 1 or 2 nights away if Friday night, whatever. But I'd always be back home. Like I say, I love my home. I've always been a homer, really. I always want to get home when I can. So moving away, obviously, it's a bit harder when you're at Barnet just to pop up the road. But it was a big step. But like I say, I thought it was something I had to do. I'd always look back and wonder what if I didn't take the opportunity.
How did you take to league football? Did you notice the difference, or was it something you just really took in your stride? Because you were playing basically every game from day one, weren't you, for the next 10, 15 years in the Football League?
Yeah, really, like I said, luckily enough, I took to it really well. I think it was the training, day in, day out was probably the biggest aspect of that. I remember Lee Harrison and a few others they'd tell me I was probably the worst trainer, but then I'd be probably one of the best players on a Saturday. But that was because I think I was just inconsistent. I wasn't used to that day in, day out training, that level. And it took some getting used to. I mean, I wasn't being rubbish on purpose. It was probably just fatigue levels, and having that demand put on your day in, day out. But I'd always get up for the game on Saturday because obviously that's what I was down there for, to play games and impress. And like once the adrenaline gets going, it sort of overrides tiredness and everything. And like I say, I probably took me Monday, Tuesday to recover. which is where my training levels weren't so good. But eventually I got up to that level and where I wanted to be, I suppose, at 25. And most people are doing that since 16, 17. You know, they become acclimatised to it. But obviously it did take a bit of getting used to, and I had a bit of homesickness, obviously. I mean, I was Saturday nights, I'd travel home after the game, get home at 9 o'clock, have less than 24 hours at home and having to go back down Sunday night. But it was all part of the learning curve. And like I say, it made me a more rounded, better person for it.
So I think I'm right in saying, while you were in Barnet, at Barnet, you had a bit of reconstructive facial surgery as a result of a clash with one of your soon-to-be teammates at Notts County, yeah? Ricky Ravenhill left his mark on you, didn't he?
Yeah, we played up at Downham, and Downham were in the Football League just before Christmas, and the ball's bounced between us, and I've gone with my head, and he's gone up with his foot. He tells me he's accidental, but you know, Ravs, it's probably meant to do it. So, and he's caught me on the cheek, and obviously we talked on about adrenaline. I just went down for a bit and crashed, and got back on with it. And then because it was close to Christmas and we were at Darling, and I think the manager said, "Look, have the Monday off, have the weekend at home."
So you finished the game, all that. You didn't come
finish the game, yeah. I felt a bit sat in the dressing room. I thought, Christ, I feel a bit woozy here. But I was having a week. I was going out for a couple of pints on Saturday night with my mates. We're all back out, Christmas. I thought so. And I was getting dressed, and I was sat in my mum's, and my face was just getting bigger and bigger, and I was just like, I don't think you should be going out, son. You thought that. I was like, yeah, you're probably right. So I've gone to the hospital, yeah, cracked jaw. But like again, you take the positives. It was probably the only Christmas I had at home for the last 15 years, because obviously I couldn't do anything. I had to stay in hospital overnight because I was concussed as well, and then I had Christmas at home. But yeah, it was a right knock, yeah, right crack on the jawbone, yeah.
Did you have to wire it up then, or what did they do? Or was it just rest?
No, it was just rest. It was clean. There was no need. I had to keep going back just for scans to make sure it was healing correctly. But they didn't want to do anything unless they had to. So it was just a matter of time, it was frustrating. Because initially I enjoyed being at home for Christmas, but then after what you miss one or two games, you're desperate to be back involved, and I don't think I was back till late January, and I probably shouldn't have been back then. But I just said, oh yes, it's spot on, it's really good, because obviously there's no Barnet, and back then there's no face masks, they don't measure you out at League 2 level to get playing like they do these days. So yeah, I missed a fair bit of football, but yeah, it was just one of them ironic things that happened to be Ravs.
Okay, so 2 years at Barnet under your belt. Notts County come calling. How did that come about? What happened?
Well, I remember we played Notts County down at Barnet, and we were 3-0 down at half time. I think Johnny Forty got a trick, and we were terrible. And I would come in at half time, and I was launching stuff around the dressing room, because honestly it was so bad from us. I completely lost my head. And I remember coming out second half, and I'd say stuff like that. I always took it personally as a player. That if you're getting beat, it's embarrassing. So I rolled my sleeves up and just basically ran myself into the ground. I remember, because I thought, Christ, if we don't shut it out here, we're going to be in a world of trouble. And I remember coming off the end, I just fuming. I couldn't clap anyone, couldn't shake anyone's hand. And Tommy Johnson was waiting for me in the tunnel. And he said, we like you, Bish, what you doing at the end of the season? I thought, fuck, Tom, I'll say something, you know what I mean? I flip my head, gone. He's going, no, Bish, you want to sign you. I went, yeah. And I've half ignored him, because obviously you've just been beat, you're battered, my head's spinning. I thought, I'm the world's worst loser. I always have been, always will be. So when I got back in the car and drove, I thought, oh, Christ, maybe I could have been. When you calm down, you get out of the shower and you settle down a bit. I thought, Christ, that's Tommy Johnson. I shouldn't have spoken to him. He's flipping legend. But then obviously I had an agent at the time, and Chaz ran, and I met them in the summer because my contract had ran out, and I had a bit of interest from other clubs. And I went and met Chaz and Tommy, and they said one of the big things was, obviously, we thought we were lacking leaders, and obviously during that game they sat in their dressing room at half time 3-0 up, and all I could hear was me kicking boot skips around and having arguments with people and bouncing boots off the walls and just basically losing my head, spit me dummy out. But Tommy and Chad really liked that. He said, we need a bit of that in the dressing room. We like you as a player. But and then, like you say, Chaz always says, oh, you didn't want to come. I did. I always did. I just wanted to make sure it was going to be right. Because like I say, I Tommy, get along really well with Tommy and Charlie McPartland and Drapes, all the boys to this day. We're really good. Always got along with them. But yeah, it was interesting. It did come about because I thought, oh no, Tommy's going to think I'm a right dick, you know. But he said, and when I met Tommy, he goes, no, he said that made us want to sign you even more, because obviously I wasn't thinking about leaving or anyone. I was more worried about getting in the dressing room and having it out. But yeah, it was funny how it come about.
So you've signed. So did you complete your deal before there was the Sven, the Munto, the whole circus, or had there been any whispers, or was it completely, you didn't know anything about it when you signed?
No, I think Charlie had an idea investment was being mooted.
Yeah.
He spoke about it. I'll be honest, I don't think he knew how big it was.
Yeah.
He mentioned Ben Davies to me when I signed. And when we went to Austria pre-season, I think me and Ben Davies had come in, Ricky Ravenhill had come in. Yeah. So there was already good signings there. You know what I mean? Yeah. There were already good lads there. And then when we were over in Austria, we were hearing all this bits and pieces coming out. And I remember I was still with Benji, me and Ben Davies were in the river. Because obviously, at the end of the day, you know, the water's that cold. It's just like an ice bath. And yeah. We had a hard session and we just stood there, and Dave, Kevin and Charlie come over. And he said, oh, don't worry, lads, I know we know we're 1 or 2 short, but apparently there's whoever was the chairman at the time, I forget his name, he said, oh, something's going to be announced in the coming days, but you wouldn't have had any idea what was being announced. Like I say, it was surreal actually when you were hearing it all. And then obviously Hughesy, I think Hughesy was the first signing one. Yeah. Then Spike come in, and it just took off. It was a bit surreal actually, a bit surreal all going on.
I mean, for many years, it's probably one of the challenges Notts have had. They've not recruited well. You know, recruitment's key to everything, as you'll know with your new role at Mansfield. But I have to say, Charlie recruited really, really well that year, because, you know, the likes of yourself, Ravenhill, Davies, even before the Munto, they are proper quality signings. You know, clearly Hughes is kind of like, you know, a layer on the cake, isn't it, because of his goal scoring. But we were signing proper players, and you mentioned the phrase earlier, leaders all over the park with that squad.
Yeah, and that's what he wanted. That's what he spoke to me about. He said he wanted leaders. He said they didn't have enough of it. He said they were not a bad footballing team, but when push come to shove, you know, they get bullied, or when the chips were down, they couldn't drag themselves out. So he'd identified that. Really liked him personally. Like I said, get along with this day. I thought he very good eye for a player. I really enjoyed his sessions. You know, they were good, well thought out. Dave Kevin was a really good coach's assistant. Obviously, had Tommy there as well, and Drapes, the ex-Notts County boy. So I thought it was a good balance, and they had a really good setup there. I know each man splits opinion, Charlie, as to if he was a good manager or not. But I can only speak from personally. I really enjoyed working for him. His sessions were had, especially pre-season. It was old school running down the embankment at some days, but it was hard. It was hard but fair, and like I said, I really enjoyed working for him. I just wish he maybe could have got a bit longer. But I suppose when you look back now with what was happening, it was sort of always going to be a matter of time till they got their own person in. Which, like you see, you look back now, and it was always going to happen.
I think you're probably right, Neil. Clearly, Sven was the game changer in many things. Sven gave Munto an air of credibility or credence, you know, a lot of Middle Eastern mystique and all the rest of it. So recall when you met Sven for the first time, what did he do? Did you not believe it until you saw him walk in, or what was that like?
It was, like I say, I've used the word surreal, and it was all the way through, because you're hearing stuff, you're hearing Roberto Carlos, you're hearing, honestly, you were at the time, remember when it was like Figo, and it was like, I don't know what to believe anymore, because who'd have believed Sven would have come in? And I remember the game against Forest pre-season, the crowds, the cameras, it was ridiculous actually. But Sven himself was a very polite, demure character. He wasn't in your face. He was very softly spoken. He was very well mannered, almost shy. It was strange. he didn't seem really overly confident, or whether he wanted to just stand in front of a group and be the centre of attention. He'd come in, he'd have a word. Him and his driver would bring him and Todd up to the training ground, and they'd just stay back and watch. Which, again, I think Charlie was a bit uncomfortable with, because every day they were at the training pitch, and it was like, I think he'd direct your football. He never actually took a session spend or got involved on the training ground. It was all background. But he was up the training ground, and like I say, him and Todd were just there in the background all the time. Which, you're looking back, it probably didn't help. It didn't help, and I think Chaz felt the pressure there all the time. And at times, like I say, you could see it maybe spill out of Charlie a bit. He maybe feel it. You could see he was feeling the pressure, and I did feel a bit for him during them times, because obviously he didn't get the reassurance, and like I say, it was just a matter of time. They wanted their own figurehead in to run the football side of it as well.
So Sven's a very interesting character. Interesting, the adjective used. I mean, I know him a little bit from England, and he's like everyone's like grandfather or uncle, isn't he? There's no real edge to him. There's no, you think, what has this man got that makes him a football genius? There's nothing that jumps out at you.
No, but I tell you, I've got one story about when I went out, and I went for Chinese on a Saturday after a game, and I was with my missus at the time, and we had a game Tuesday, so I said, I'm not drinking, obviously. She'd come down for the weekend, so we'll have a bite to eat. So I'm just sat there, and next thing I knew, the waiter comes and whacks 2 bottles of red wine on the table. Oh, I haven't ordered them, mate. I can't be that. I said, my missus, I've been to the toilet. I said, have you ordered them? I said, I'm not drinking. The car's outside and flipping. I've got a game Tuesday. He said, oh no, he's ordered him. He looked over, and Sven and Todd were in the corner, and he just gave it the thumbs up from over there. I went, cheers, thanks. I'm thinking, does he know we've got a game Tuesday? So anyway, the waiter's pouring these, and I said, can I have a look at show me the menu, because I wanted to know what. I mean, I was just a lad from Middlesbrough. I didn't really understand wine at that time. Although I enjoy a glass now, I didn't have a clue. Like £80-odd bottles each, 2 of them. So I thought, we'll crack on. So we did. So we nailed 2 bottles. And then he's come way over. So there was a bar downstairs. I forget the name of it now. We'd gone downstairs and obviously had a bit boxed off. So I thought, well, we'll have that. I said, we'll have to get a taxi home, but no way I'm driving. No, come here, Neil, come here. So anyway, we went and sat with him, and there was champagne getting poured. I was legless. I was absolutely legless by about midnight by the time I left. He goes, it's okay. So yeah, you'll be okay for Tuesday. I was thinking, Christ, I won. So I remember, luckily enough, I don't know who it was, but we won on the Tuesday, and I didn't have a bad game. Because I thought, if this gets out, Chaz will put me through the wall. But I remember that. I remember, like I say, just happy as Larry, dead laid back. Oh yeah, send it across beer and wine. I think, oh my God. But no, that's one of my favourite memories of him. Like you say, but he was just like you say, a jovial, laid back, nice man.
So you've got all these players together. You've got Sven in the background. Charlie's the gaffer. Lots of leaders on the pitch. Did you think from day one, this is a fantastic opportunity to get promoted? Yeah,
I did. I thought with this squad, and you look around in the dressing room, big characters. I mean, it's important, like you say, you don't overlook the likes of Matty Amshaw was still there, Craig Westcar, even Luke Rogers, big characters. The dressing room was John Thompson, who was skipper. The dressing room was full of them. Obviously, you got Mike Edwards. We had a real strong. Not going to say egos, because there was none of that there. It was just a lot of strong characters who pushed each other along and demanded off each other. And you looked around and you looked at the league at the time and you thought, well, Christ, and it's hard to gauge. It is hard to gauge during a pre-season, but coming that last week, like I say, it just seemed like it was snowballing in a positive way, and we were building a hell of a lot of momentum. And then obviously you rolled into that Bradford game and we absolutely smashed them first game of the season. You just thought, Christ, poof, take off. We should fly from here.
And then, of course, as if it's not already enough, Kasper Schmeichel comes in.
Yeah. Again, Kasper. Well, obviously, Mundo. I don't think, wildest dreams he would have come for any other reason. But yeah, Kasper come in again, a great lad. Like I say, still get along with Kasper, and I still speak to him every now and again. He was the same for a young lad. He was vocal, and he he was another strong character and wasn't afraid to voice an opinion, which obviously with his background, you look at his dad, where his schooling was, you'd probably expect that. But he come in, and like I say, he got involved with the crack and the banter with the lads straight away. Again, he proved that season a great addition. I think he saved about 5 penalties just off the top of my head for that season, didn't he? But like I say, then you go through the span of the team. You've got him, you've got Spike, you've got us in midfield, and you've got Hughes up top. You're not going. You won't find better than that in League Two. You'd struggle to find it in League One, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that we'll come on to that in a minute, because that's the interesting point as to where things perhaps didn't quite go as they should have done after promotion. For all the players, and like you said, I think people were almost waiting, but they were like, what, 6th, 7th in the table. You didn't win the first 6, 7, 8, 9 on the bounce, did you? And that kind of put Charlie under a bit of pressure, I think.
Yeah, like you say, we were expecting just maybe not a steamroll, but we were expecting to go and to take off after that Bradford game. I think we drew with Macclesfield. We drew 2-0, and then
Torquay on the telly was the last game, wasn't it?
1-2 I think we were in twice and we threw it away. A couple of injuries. I remember I played right back that day, but I think after the game, sort of Charlie knew. He was frustrated. He was mad. He was shouting stuff around the dressing room. He said, "You're in Monday." Obviously, he got the bullet. But I think, like I say, I think when I spoke about the pressure affected him, that it was evident in that team talk. And I think he knew the inevitable was going to happen. I think he knew really that he was going to be sacked after that game.
It was interesting because Peter Tremblin, who was kind of the chairman and the front man for Munto, he said to me he was desperate to get Sven in as manager, but there was no way Sven was going to do it. He only ever wanted to be director of football. He didn't want to be a frontline manager. And so was that Hans Backer?
Hans Backer, yeah.
Who was clearly had worked with Sven before.
Yeah.
And so Sven could still be the director of football in the background. Whereas Peter was desperate for Sven to be managed, but that was never going to happen. It was never going to happen. And kind of this is when monies started, or lack of them, started to percolate around, didn't they?
Yeah, there was rumours. I mean, I remember once we get upstairs, you go in reception, the main office, you up in one of the function rooms up there. I remember coming down one lunchtime, I come down with Ben Davies. I've got me and Ben Davies, we're really, really close. And the butcher was there kicking off at reception because he hadn't been paid for 2 months. So you're thinking, hang on a minute, we've got all these players, Sol Campbell's coming in, all these rumours are going around, and there's a guy at reception, he hasn't had, poor guy, local butcher hasn't had his meat bill paid, so you're thinking, certain stuff doesn't add up, and like I say, it does get going, but like I say, with the group we had, we just sort of like laughed about it in the dressing room, like, oh Christ, let's make the most of it this month, it'll be your last month pay slip and that, but stuff to that effect. Like I say, with the group we had, we just put it to the back of our minds and cracked on. But there was certain things weren't adding up. I mean, we flew down to Bournemouth for an FA Cup game and back. It's just not normal. Like we're a League Two team, and then like you say, you're hiring private jets or you're hiring jets to fly privately to FA Cup games, and the butcher's not getting paid. So it was. You could smell a rat somewhere. You just weren't sure how it was going to rear its head and what was going to happen.
Sol Campbell kind of read the script. I think when we had Lee Hughes on, Lee's view was that Sol read the script before most people. He clearly come in on a massive contract, played the one game at Morecambe where we got beat. What was Sol like? Did you get much chance to interact with him, or?
Yeah, again, he was sound. I think you put these people on a pedestal, when you see them on the telly, you just put them on a different level. But, from my experience, a lot of them are just normal guys. He come in, he got on. I think he was I remember his face when he went into Morecambe's dressing room, because it was the old ground as well. I mean, he couldn't stand up properly in the dressing room because it was one of them slanted roofs.
Yeah, Morecambe,
He can't stand up. He's like, what the hell's going on here? The warm-up, and then we get beat. I think he got ran ragged that day.
Yeah, Paul Mullin, wasn't it? The big centre-forward for them.
He got man of the match, and then he's on the coach on the way back, and we're all tucking into fish and chips, and he's like, wow, what's going on here? So he was, but, you know what I mean? I think that was just him getting used to that level and what it's like. Like, what it is. And then one day we were training, and he'd gone back to the training. He'd gone back to the ground early because them days we used to get changed at the ground, drive up the training ground, and go back to the showers. I think he said something was. He got a knock or something was right. He had to go back. They hadn't seen the physio. So by the time we got the ground, we'd finished training, gone back. All his boots had gone. He packed up his stuff, and he'd basically gone. So, like I said, I think he was ahead of the curve. But I think obviously he was in whoever. I think he got tipped off. To be honest, I think he knew what was coming. Like Yuji said, he's probably right. I think, but he probably got wind of what was coming before we did, and he obviously just thought, "So this, I'm getting out of here before it all goes belly up."
So everything starts to unravel. I think it became apparent there was no money behind Monteau. I think Peter Trembling took the club over for £1, but clearly couldn't fund it very well. We're coming up to Christmas. What was that like as players for you all?
It was strange, and obviously brand new to me. I didn't have a clue what had happened. I think we had a meeting between us. PFA rep spoke to PFA. And we just agreed. Like I say, it was a good dress. We just agreed. There's nothing we can do. Absolutely nothing we can do. So our job's to win football games and get on the pitch and train and play until we're told otherwise. I have to be honest. There wasn't a month where we weren't paid. There was lots of rumours going around, but we always got paid. And while we're getting paid, you get your head down and do your job, and that's what we did. Like you say, it was a good dressing room. We cracked on and pulled each other through. We look. I don't know what would have happened if we were missed payments and payments were late in the PFA. Fortunately, it never got to that stage. But like you say, we just cracked. We just agreed we were all going to crack on until we were told otherwise, and that's what we did.
Trues took over, Ray True, and their first decision was the new manager, Steve Cottrell. So. And I know Steve back from his days at Leicester, and he's fairly intense, as I'm sure you would be aware. Yeah. But talk about hit the ground running. What did all the lads kind of think? This is the right man to get us. Well, it wasn't get us over the line, was it? But get us moving again, because we were 7th or 8th at that point.
Yeah, I think we might have been just outside the playoffs. I do remember we did have a lot of games in hand, games in sport. Probably why we were in the position we were. Because I remember it was Saturday, Tuesday for a hell of a time. And when you look back, we only had probably 16 players, 17 players. Oh, well, we had more, but obviously that core group that played the majority of games, it wasn't massive. Like I say, we didn't have the money then to bring anyone in. Obviously, you had that group, and it might be less, actually, when you look at it. It was probably the same starting 11 for the majority of them games. And we just went, Saturday, Tuesday. And like you say, he's intense. And for that burst of time, it was probably what we needed. He'd come in, he said, I don't want promotion, I want to win the league. That's that. With this group of players, you should be ashamed of yourselves for your league position. He didn't beat around the bush. And like I said, there was some like a Husey in there and that. Like I say, it's probably what we needed. Like I say, it takes a big strong character to come in and stand in front of a group of men and call you a disgrace. Well, it might not have been a disgrace, but we certainly should have been higher than what we were. And I agreed with him. I thought, I'm having this guy straight away. I thought, brilliant. Yeah, he's going to be exactly what we need. He's not going to take second best. He's right. That group should have won that league, and fortunately, he drove us towards it. And like I say, we got that momentum back. I think 18 games we lost one, and it was a fantastic run. And like I say, I loved working under Steve. The demands he put on you every day. I enjoyed pushing myself, and pushing others under him. And like I say, he was definitely the right man at the right time.
Probably those 3-4 months would be the most successful of your career in terms of winning matches and ended up winning a title. Yeah.
Yeah, loved it, and he knew what to do with us. Like I say, there's some days we win Saturday. When we got in that run, it was Saturday, Tuesday. I remember, and it was tiring at the time because, like I say, we're playing just about every game. And then Monday, we'd all just come in and go, right, just get your trainers on. We walk down the embankment, bacon butty shop at the top. It'd be sausage and bacon butties, and walk all the way back. And then the lads who hadn't played would do a bit of training. The lads who had played would just basically do a jog, a little rondo, keep all, and that would be it. And he got that balance right between punishing and pushing, but then coming off it when the time was right and save the legs, because it was all about the match. It was all about games. Then you're on the run in there. It's all about promotion. and he got that fantastically right. And like I said, I enjoyed his sessions were hard. They were intense. Like I say, you'll know him, you know how he worked. He on standards. He's big on standards day in, day out. And like I say, I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I thought he got the best out of me and that group. And like I said, we just took off. And I think the only game we lost was at Port Vale. But by then we pushed ourselves into a really strong position anyway. I think we'd come off was it after the back of that Rochdale game?
Yeah, Rochdale.
Night, which was massive, emotionally, physically draining, and I think it just caught up with us at Port Vale, massive pitch. I remember it was a red hot day. I think it just caught up with us that day. But you know, we'd done enough by then, thankfully, to kick us on.
What was the promotion championship parties like?
Oh, it was good. I remember, God, we had a few, because I remember we had a couple. We had one where we were guaranteed top three when that come in, and then we had one when we got promoted, and then obviously the last one was Torquay away. And I remember we were on the bus and we stopped obviously to load up with a load of booze, and I've just got some cans and I'm at the till, and to be fair, the gaffers come in, Steve, and went, "Oh, Bish, don't worry, I'll get you them." But there was a few lads. Obviously, everyone else was down there. So he goes, "Wait there, because I'll get something for me and I'll come back." I went, "Oh, you sure, Gaffer?" I said, No. He goes, "But I'll get him, Bish." By the time he gets back to the till, all the lads had whacked their stuff on. It must have cost him hundreds, honestly. You should have seen his face. He thought he was buying me like 20 cans or whatever. And he would come back, there was usually put bottles of Jack Daniels on there. There was flipping all sorts. And they didn't just bugger off on the court. So he's had to go up and pay for it. He's on there, he's gone, "You bastard, you've stitched me right up." But he said, "Look here, you deserve it, have it, knock yourselves out." And it was brilliant. Like you say, the music was going. Gaffer actually relaxed. He come and sat with us. Lads were flipping, shotting food at each other. It was just brilliant. Like I say, by the time you got off, there was t-shirts ripped. It was flipping. It was some trip. But I remember the conversations we had. Like he'd come up and he'd say, "Look, if I can get 3 or 4 players for next season, 3 or 4 good players, we'll go again. You know, we'll kick on with this group." He said, "I'll get this group up." He said, "I've spoken to the chairman. I don't know if I'm going to get what I want." He said, "But I've identified 2, 3, maybe 4 players who'll come in to start. You know, not squad players to start." He said, "That's all I want, and if I get that, we'll go." And you know, you come on back. I thought, "Oh, Christ, we're onto something here. We're onto something really good."
That's a very interesting, because I've not heard that bit before. I want to get Steve on here. We've not got him yet. Because there was a huge debate as to whether Steve had just come in on a very short-term agreement, put himself back in the shop window and get another job elsewhere. Because obviously he's a Bristol boy, isn't he? Lives down that way. Or was there a real chance he would have signed a longer-term contract? I mean, what's your take on it?
I think he come in originally to just do a job. I thought he looked at that dressing room, looked at that squad, thought, "I can get these promoted. It gets me a promotion. It gets me in the shop window." But I mean, if you get him on, he might say something different. I think he liked us. I think he liked us as a group. I think he liked the personality in the group. I think he liked working with us. And I think he got invested emotionally, and I think he wanted to stay. I honestly do. But I think he wanted to stay on his terms with regards to a budget, what he could bring in, what he could do with us. Because like you say, intense is a great way to describe him. I don't think he'd come in if he thought we're going to be mid-table next season and just be happy to survive and then we'll kick on. He wanted to go again, and with that core group, I think we could have done. Like I say, I spoke to him at length on the way back. It's a long journey from Torquay, you know. And he said, "Look," he said, "I thought he obviously done his homework, knew what players he wanted to come in. I think he made initial contact with some of them. And like I say, these weren't squad players." He goes, "Look, we've got the base, but with 3 or 4, I think we can go again." And he was for it. And then the longer it went, he felt it wasn't going to happen, which I was gutted, to be honest. I was gutted because I thought he could have really kicked us on.
Very interesting. And if your take on it is correct, and sounds to me like it is, then that's probably the single most expensive mistake Ray True has made. That's the single biggest mistake he has made. When you get a good manager, you keep them.
Yeah.
Because it always costs you more to replace them. It always does. You know, I won't give you this, I won't give you that budget. They move on, it costs you more, because then you have to rip things up, do this, bring this, and it costs you more. It costs you more. if it was a case of budget, no, then Ray has been quoted, and he quotes various figures. To be fair, he said, I've seen figures of £20 million that it's cost him. It would certainly have cost him north of 10. He would have saved an awful lot of money by keeping Steve Cottrell as manager, giving him more money, and giving him a bigger playing budget, because there was a great chance we could have got another promotion. Great chance with that, in my opinion, with that group, with Steve Cottrell in charge.
Yeah, you look at it, like I say, I think I mentioned it early on, didn't I? You'd have fancied your chance in League One with that group. And Steve obviously knows his stuff. He'd been around, and like I say, he'd already identified players what he wanted to bring in, which he thought he would have kicked on. He didn't want to make wholesale changes. He just wanted to add it, really. Yeah, again, look, I don't know about finances. I don't get involved. I don't want to know. I know Ray True, fair play, we put a lot of money in, but if you look at the cycle that went through after that with managers sacked and player turnover, you can, in hindsight, it's not hindsight's 2020, and I certainly don't want to come in here and criticise anyone unnecessarily, but you're right in what you're saying. I'm sure Ray'd probably do it differently if you speak to him now. But he was most certainly the right man at the right time, and because I remember the end of the year awards do. Ray was saying, look, we're trying everything we can to keep him. And Steve was saying, look, yeah, if it's right, I'll stay. Colin was interviewing him on the stage and that. And it just, like you say, you thought it might happen. All the lads wanted it to happen. And it never did. And like I say, it is maybe not with regret, but certainly something I'll look back on him and just, if we'd have had one more season under him, what we could have achieved.
Yeah, ifs, buts and maybes, I know. So the club have gone for Craig Shaw. And clearly part of the philosophy there was the old Notts County boot room. You've got Drapes around there, you've got Tommy there, Dave Kevin, and you bring in Craig Shaw for first crack at managership. Although he didn't really get very long, and Ray has subsequently admitted that was a major mistake not to have given him more games. What do you think happened in that season? Where do you think the momentum was lost? I mean, is it down to one thing or just a combination of things?
Yeah, it was. I'd love to put my finger on it. Obviously, we didn't start well. Craig come in, he had some new ideas. I think he'd be working in Hungary. Obviously, big strapping lad. He was probably a bit more softly spoken than what you'd think. More thoughtful about things than what you think. You're looking into a big centre half, big powerful guy. He'd be in faces and that, but he wasn't. He was more softly spoken, very calm. And again, I from where he's played, you know what I mean. I was excited to work under him. Played at the top level, great pedigree. And I remember we played Stoke. We looked good at times in pre-season that year. Maybe the team from last season, obviously Casper left and things had to happen to balance the books.
Yes.
That was a given, but maybe we could have, like you say, rather than breaking up that team too much, I'd basically gone off Steve's ideas, just add a couple towards it, but we didn't start well, and like I say, we struggled for the majority of that season.
We got into that cycle as well, didn't we, of the managerial merry-go-round?
Yeah.
So Paul Ince for a short time. I think it's fair to say when Lee was on, probably wasn't top of the charts. But I think when we've spoken before, you got on okay with Paul, didn't you?
Yeah, I like Paul. Like I say, everyone will have different opinions on players and managers, but again, I just look at what he done as a player. I was just buzzing to work with him. Obviously, he was a midfielder. I was a midfielder. I was just delighted to work under someone like that who's played at some of the best clubs in the world and captain his country. So look, I liked him. I can see why he was done. I can see from both sides. He can come across as arrogant. I don't think he is. I just think he's confident. I think that's his way. I don't see him as an arrogant man. Look, where he's played, he's probably got every right to be confident. But I thought he'd done well at Macclesfield, he'd done well at MK Dons, and I thought he would have been a good appointment. But again, we hit a bit of a rough patch under him, and obviously the chairman at the time wasn't into giving managers very long to turn it round. So he was another one who went back the wayside, unfortunately.
We had the FA Cup run though, didn't we?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, and like I say, well, probably talk about the Man City one, but everyone's asked me about that. But for me, like that yellow shirt in the background there, it was a Sunderland away. Obviously, me being a big Borough fan, I had hundreds. There were probably as many Teessiders in the away end that day than Notts fans. And it was that's probably one of my best memories, to be honest. Not just that Notts, but my whole career going up there and turning them Mackhams over. It was a great day. Like I say, Uzi, brilliant. We were really good that day. We were fantastic that day. Thoroughly deserved the win.
I'd forgotten Sunderland. Yeah, remember we were up there on the Saturday afternoon, wasn't it? Yeah, yeah. I remember it now.
Great game. Yeah, brilliant. 2-2 went 2-0 up there, got one back 2-1, and we held on. Rightfully so, because we've done really well. Like you say, outstanding as well. Like the amount of friends and family I had up there to be a big Borough fan. It was like I say, it's definitely up there with one of my best memories.
Okay, so then we get Manchester City. And you couldn't really have got a plumber draw than that with all of their names. I think Roberto Mancini was in charge then.
Yes,
and kind of he played the full team virtually, didn't he? I remember. It wasn't like they put 11 of the shadow squad out. They had the full team. And again, there's a lot of ifs, buts and maybes here. But you get the first goal.
Yeah, it was just the day itself was just outstanding, sellout. I remember the tunnel and that before the game, the amount of backroom staff they have, it was almost, you couldn't move in the tunnel. It was ridiculous. Honestly, you couldn't work out, you couldn't give jobs to the amount of people that were in that tunnel with Man City tracksuits. Christ. And then just getting on the pitch and you see, and then it's obviously the team sheets come in and you think, oh, well, they've gone big here. Which, to be fair, like I say, they respected us to put a full team out. And I remember the goal at the time. I remember the gaffer Incy saying, Bish, you shouldn't. I think I was meant to be going around the back post at that point. I don't know why I was around the front post, just probably not listened again and done my own, just decided to do my own thing. And I don't even know if it was a good corner, running the hit corner or what, but I've got there. And like I say, it was almost a dream to see it drop in. Just again, another surreal moment. It was just a fantastic feeling. Again, one I'll never ever forget. And it's just like I say, it's just a shame we couldn't hold on because. And Nelly made some good saves, but we more than matched him for the majority of that game.
Yeah, I mean, I'd always remember, aside from your goal, because Edwin Dzeko couldn't score, could he? He cost a lot of money, he couldn't score. And then and Christian Pearce, wasn't it? Centre half. He just gave him a yard, didn't he, when that cross came in? Yeah. He just slipped, or he just give Dzeko, and he just got that yard drop on him to get the goal, hadn't he? Because there was a great chance we could have held on there. Chance.
There was, and I think after that, I think Uzi may have had a chance after that, because it wasn't if they conceded, then we were backs to the wall. I think Uzi had a half decent chance after that, and like I say, we gave a very good of account of ourselves that day. It's just a shame because, like I say, with the team they had out, and it would have been one of the biggest upsets ever, and obviously it was live on ITV. My phone's never seen so many messages and calls after the game, so I was just fortunate enough to get the goal. But the lads from everyone involved that day done themselves massive credit, and like I said, it is just a shame, and it just shows you the difference between that level and that level. It can be done if they drop a couple of percent, we raise ours for one day, for one game, for 190 minutes. You can bridge that gap.
Did you swap shirts after the game? Whose shirt did you get?
I didn't after the first one because because the game I was a man of the match that day, but they gave me it on the telly. There was people who played better than me that day. I'm quite happy to admit that, but obviously because I got the goal, they gave me it, so they grabbed me straight away, and then I had to go in the tunnel and got the one, done an interview, and then by the time I got back to the dressing room, everyone had gone. So I couldn't get one, but I was quite happy to keep mine from that day anyway. I said, James, I'm keeping this, I'll get a photo. He said, yeah, Bish, take it. And I got Gareth Barry's from the away game when we obviously went there for the replay. So I got a memento from it. But like I said, when I thought about it, I'd rather keep my own shirt actually, because obviously somebody show my little when I'm older. And like I said, I got one of them. I got Gareth Barry's when we went up there, so it all worked out.
Very good. So back in the league, it's a bit uphill, down, and probably a bit more down. And then one manager no one's ever going to forget, and I love Martin to death. So Martin Allen comes in. So Now you've been around playing non-league and everything. I mean, what was Martin like for you?
He was, again, I liked him. I've got, I can honestly say, I've got along with every manager I've worked under at Notts. Every single one of them, whether I liked them or not, you know, I've got along with them all. And I remember his first game was Yeovil, and he'd hardly had any time with us, and he stopped us at the services and made us get off the coach, and we were doing set plays in the services car park with the physio as a goalpost and imaginary football. And everyone's going, what the hell's going on? Because you hear the stories about Martin, don't you, from other clubs and people texting you, oh, this, that, and the other. And then he come on the coach, and then he dragged me and used it at the front. He goes, right, here, which one of you wants this? Waving the armband around. Captain's armband, you two leaders. I said, oh, you give it to Uzi. Obviously, I said, give it to Uzi. Doesn't really bother me. I said, right, yeah. And then that was that. That's how he just done things a bit differently. He'd always have his dog with him, just charging from the training pitch, but he was. I liked him. There's definitely method in his madness.
Yeah, I mean, I love Martin. I mean, I really do, and I thought he was I thought he was a good fit for Notts, because Notts kind of need Steve Cottrell. Notts is a club that needs a strong character who can imbibe all their sort of virtues and physicalities and be strong. Take, you know, Neil Warner, take the club with them as a big personality, and he got it down to the last game against Brighton, wasn't it, where you needed a point to stay up? Yeah,
we did. I think we were not mathematically safe. I think we would have took some strange results. Dagenham would have had to be about 8-0. There had to be a big goal swing. But yeah, he got us in there, and I remember the date. It was a red hot day. I think Brighton had won the league, so they were up for a party, and I remember him going wild at half time. I think he was throwing chairs around the dressing room, and he was kicking right off. But I think he knew we'd be okay, because I think the results were going for us at half time. So even at half time, I think he'd even gone more in our favour. I think it'd have to be like a 15 goal swing. So he knew he was just making a point. But he did what he had to do, and then obviously we went in, and our support brought some bees in the dressing room and that. But I wasn't really comfortable. They took us up on the where the ball sit in there on the front, because of on the pitch, and I think I'm not sure we want to be celebrating finishing fifth bottom, because I didn't want to do it. I said, look, after I'm not going out there. I said, we're celebrating finishing fifth bottom, to be honest. And he was like, no, Bish, look, you're a big part of what you've done. Go out there and let them clap you. They want to clap you. I said, yeah, it doesn't seem right. And because I needed a hernia. My groin was in a terrible state for about the last 3 months. I needed an operation. And when he come in, it was basically just get me through games. And I didn't want it. I said, look, I'll get through the end of the season. I said, I don't want to get, you know, I just, again, about losing, I thought, I'm not getting relegated. Can't get relegated. I'm not having this. So I just, Gaffer had, physio was saying, but he's not right. Like, he can't play. Martin, so I remember the first time I'd had my scan, and I'd ripped my stomach line, and it was on my right side as well. So it was me kicking from my left legs for standing on. So it was my right side. I remember Martin, like, you come in for one, Bish. Don't train this week. Coming for 1 o'clock on Saturday, and we'll do a fitness test. And it was him in his suit with a ball under his arm. He went, right, come here. He said, you don't need. I said, hang on, I haven't got my boots. He said, no, get out here now. And he shot a ball at me in the corridor, and I've just reacted and kicked it back to him, you know, as you do, because it was just like reflex. He went, right, you're fit. Get back in the dressing room, sit there. The rest of the lads come in, and that was it. And that was it. He goes, you'll do till the end of the season. He goes, you don't have to train any days, but I'm going to need you for the games. I just went, fair enough. I'm happy to do that. And I just ticked over, just like bikes during the week, kept off it, dosed up on painkillers every flipping Friday, Saturday. And then, like I said, got through it. But I was happy to do it. I wanted to do it. You know, he never forced me. I wanted to do it for him. And I didn't want a relegation on my CV, so I was more than happy to do it.
I guess one game that's synonymous with Martin was the League Cup against Forest.
Yeah.
Which was a great night. You know, seemed like all of Nottingham was in the City Ground that night. Great event. We should have won. Wes Morgan scored a worldie.
Yeah.
And then it goes to the penalty shootout. And of all the people to miss penalties.
I know. I know. Well, to be honest, I didn't think I'd get a chance to take mine, because when Hughesy was stepping up, it was Hughesy to win it. It was sort of like rope for him, and you thought he's not going to miss this. And then when he's missed it, and it just, you can hear the cheers, and it's just like, oh, like Christ. And I think that like sort of knocked us a bit, to be honest, because you're just expecting Hughesy to go up and like you say, just wrap it in, win it, and what we deserve. I mean, we were better than them. Yeah. We were better than them on the night. We outplayed them, we outpassed them, we outran them. The energy from the away end was ridiculous. It was non-stop. It was like you say, it was dragging us through. And like you say, you throw away Morgan 100 balls, and he'd never hit that top corner again. It was just one of them things. And then, to be fair, the lads have dug in and flipping. But I don't know. Like I say, and then my penalty was just, to be honest, I was absolutely exhausted. I was lucky to get up to the thing. I was getting cramp in my calves by the last 5 minutes. I've got up there, and like I say, I've just tried to hit it as hard as I can in towards the roof of the net. I just thought I'm going to try and lift it. And obviously, technique was, technique, God, I was knackered. It's just flipping. I think he's probably still travelling, but it wasn't meant to be that night. There was so many things that happened. Like I say, the Wes Morgan goal, the Hughesy thing. It was just, even that McGugan free kick was an absolute worldie. Like I say, everything they hit seemed to go in that night. But yeah, there's no one who can watch that game say we didn't deserve that. It was such a shame, because the lads put everything in, and for the supporters behind the goal, it was outstanding. The best I've ever known it, to be honest. And like I say, the energy they were giving us on the pitch was just fantastic.
So it wasn't that long before we have another manager, and Keith Curl. His results were actually very good. I think he put together the club's record unbeaten run away from home. Something like he added it all up. Yeah. But it was kind of the home form, I think, that did for him ultimately when you looked at it. But results-wise, and there was the big run to the edge of the playoffs, wasn't there?
Yeah, well, we missed out on goal difference that year when he come in. We missed out on goal difference. I think we were at home in the last year of the season.
It was the Bury game that did us. Do you remember when
it was a Bury game that beat us? Yeah, with nothing to play for, and they've absolutely turned us over. That did for us. But when he got sacked, I don't think we were too far outside the playoffs. I think we were certainly top 10, maybe 11. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but we weren't far away. But as things seemed to happen, things had deteriorated with his relationship with the chairman. Like I say, it was. I think when he went, I think that was me, made my mind up that was probably going to be me at the end of that season as well.
I was going to come on to that, and we've had various questions as well. The manner of Lee's departure was poor. Yeah, the whole 9-19, which he's talking to us at length about. Did that sow one or two seeds of doubt in your mind as one of the senior pros, having been there with Lee for this period?
Yeah, it did, because I love Hughesy. He was fantastic for us. Whatever you might think about him, he's great in the dressing room, fantastic around the lads. And you see that happen, you think, it's not right, and you don't like to see it happen to someone you get along with so well. So it was, and it just seemed to be a never-ending cycle. New manager, new players, start again. We'll challenge it. New manager, new players, let's go again. And like I say, I think I'd been there. I was probably last man standing now, and enough from that championship team. I couldn't have gave more. Like I said, I'd played injuries, illness, stuff. Like I said, people didn't know about because you don't want to put out there. I played when I was, like I said, and I think, to be honest, I think playing with that hernia. I mean, I remember I went for the operation at the end of that season, and the physio had left, and I got no aftercare, and I missed a lot of that pre-season going into it. The first one under Martin Allen's first one, I missed a lot of time. And I wasn't right for ages. I was getting pains in my stomach and shooting pains through my groins. And I think that come from playing so long with the rip in there, because then other muscles were compensating for it around the groin area. And it really knocked me, actually. That it really put me back a bit, and I did struggle to get over that. And then, like you say, you come back and you see maybe didn't get. I don't know. It just seemed like it was coming to a natural end that season. And like I say, I suppose it did sow a bit of seed in my mind. But even though I had a year left, obviously it felt at that age I didn't have time for another rebuilding program, a new manager, new players coming in, blah blah blah. Where I didn't think we were far away under Keith. I think one or two changes, obviously. but I didn't think we were far away, and I didn't think we needed to start again. I didn't think we needed to sack him.
So what actually led to your departure? We've got a few questions from fans here. So this was one that several people have asked. This was from Rob Davies. What was it led to you? Why did you leave your contract early? Because you've already mentioned that you still had a year to run, didn't you?
Yeah, that was it. I think obviously at that time Chris had come in, and we just did off, and we were just finishing off. So I spoke to Jim Rodwell and Ray. I just said, look, because there were rumours of them cutting the budget, and Chris was coming in, and they were going to try and bring through younger players or sign younger players, and this. And at that, I'd had a bit of interest from decent side, good clubs in League One, and obviously Blackpool was mentioned. And I just said, look, I don't know if I've got time to hang around for another rebuilding job. I just went to him and spoke to him because I didn't want to do it behind my back. I didn't want my agent to do it. I thought, look, I'm just telling him how I feel. I just said, look, obviously I was on a relatively big wage at that point for that club. I just said, look, if there's any way we can work out something, because these clubs wanted me, but obviously because of my age, probably the type of position I play, like I say, without doing myself down, we're sort of 10 a penny, defensive midfielders, blah, blah. These clubs wanted to take me, but obviously they weren't going to pay a fee for me. So I said, look, I've got good opportunities. It's probably going to be one last chance to kick on, or at that age. But I thought I played a lot longer than I thought I was going to do. But
yeah,
I thought I've got a real opportunity to teams will be challenging to the top of League One next season, or even if Blackpool comes off to play in the Championship at my age, it'll be again, something I won't get that opportunity to do unless obviously we get promoted, which I couldn't see that happening because they were cutting the budget and trying to bring through Chris Kawambi, a rookie manager, and they were bringing in sort of trying to lower the age of the squad. So I kept speaking to them at the end of the season, and we just agreed that I wasn't, obviously with the year left, I'd just come up and sign a mutual termination, and that'd be it. They didn't want to let me go to start with. Jim just said, look, I know you're frustrated, I know this and that, but there's a month left to the end of the season or whatever, take time, just keep speaking to us, is there anything we can do for you? Because you haven't seen yourself, you're around the place, we can see, and if you still feel the same in 3 or 4 weeks, then we'll do it for you. And to be fair, Ray stuck to his word.
That's interesting, because I think there were from some of the questions, there was some sort of like conspiracy theories abounding where you were almost forced out, but it was kind of, you thought that not sort of run its natural term, and it was you as much as anyone trying to be honest with the club and saying, I think it's time for a new challenge for me.
Yeah, I loved it there. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not this what I just think that my performances weren't as where I wanted them to be. Obviously, Chris Kawambi had come in. I wasn't personally sure about him as a manager, that he was going to get the best out of me as a player. And it just 4 years, I just thought I need a fresh challenge. Like I say, I wish it had worked out differently. Not for me. Really wish. Well, we've already covered it. If certain things had worked differently, I wish I'd have still been there now. Like I say, I loved it there. I loved living in the city. My son was born there, so it was not as so I've had enough now. You've done, you know what I mean, dumping the club in it. It was nothing like that. It was just at the time it just seemed like the best for both parties. And like I say, I approached them because I wanted, to be honest. I didn't want to get to the end of the season, spit my dummy out, get my agent to phone up, just saying, look, he wants to be released. But none of that. Look, if they told me if they told me that they were going to make me stay, or they would have asked for a transfer fee, then fair, I would have seen out the last year of my contract and cracked on. It would have been that. But like you say, I think obviously they could see I wasn't happy. My performances weren't good enough for me, for what I expect from myself. And like I say, it just seemed like it running a natural course.
Very honest, very honest. And I guess by your own admission, you've played after leaving Notts for many, many more years. I mean, you went to the Championship in Blackpool. You were your club captain at Scunthorpe. You did very well at Scunthorpe. Although you didn't come into the game football league-wise till 25, 26, I mean, you've been playing, and obviously we'll come on to Mansfield as well. Were you what, 38 when you retired? 38, 39?
39, yeah. 38, 39. Yeah, after that went to Blackpool on a short-term deal. Obviously, Carlisle is a strange guy, but you know, 3 months, I had Sheffield United and a few other ones in League One who wanted to take me, but I just like the Championship. Look, after 3 months, whatever, if it doesn't work, then I'll take my chance on finding another club. I thought, look, I'll back myself. I thought I'll just go away. I'll get myself into my best physical shape, and I'll go. And then, luckily enough, it worked. I was playing right back. I was playing midfield, and we were flying. I think that it was the best ever start Blackpool have had to a season at any level. And then, so obviously, starting the end of the season, things went wrong. Ince got sacked. Obviously, the chairman there, you know, didn't need me to sit here and say how difficult what it was. Basically sent a load of loan players back in January. We were down to bare bones, survived. And then, obviously, at the end of that season, he released everyone and he offered 4 or 5 of us new deals. And I was one of them. But I was aware of Scunthorpe's interest in League One, and they were offering me basically a 3-year deal. Blackpool, again, only offering me a 1-year deal. Yeah. You could see what was going to happen with Blackpool. You know, it didn't take a rocket scientist to work out what was happening. They did have a manager, the chairman. They had 4 players. They brought in a foreign guy, but like I say, it was the chairman who was offering the money. And you wouldn't have had a fighting chance to survive, which obviously was, I think they got relegated by March or April that season. You knew what was coming, and it was a big decision because obviously you work all your career, you get to play at that level, but then to walk away from it, it was hard, but it wasn't hard because obviously Scunthorpe were coming through being very ambitious, and I just thought that's going to be best for me. And obviously I had my little boy at that time. It's going to be best for me going forward. There's more security with that.
Decent team, Scunthorpe, wasn't it? And they went, you know, with the owner there. They went for it, didn't they? Good players. And I remember watching. There's so many games of football you can watch on the telly, but I remember watching the playoff game. You were playing Millwall, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's and Millwall scored right at the death, or got a couple at the end, or something. I just remember because that was probably the pivotal point of Scunthorpe getting there and then stalling, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we should have got automatic promotion. We were up there all season, hit a bad patch in January and didn't recover quick enough, got the playoffs. Went down to Millwall and got a 0-0, which I think great results. Even scored first 1-0 up at home, and then we were 3-1 down before you know it. And then I think we got one back, and then it was like the Alamo last few minutes, and then we missed out. So yeah, that was devastating, actually, absolutely devastating, because not only did we not get to miss out on promotion, we didn't even get the chance to get the playoff final at Wembley. And then obviously the season after, pretty similar story. Got beat off Rotherham in the playoff semi-finals. And like I said, I think, I went to Mansfield after that and got beat in the playoff semi-finals. That 3 years, 3 playoff semi-final defeats, not a Wembley trip. But no, I had 4 years at Scunthorpe. Really enjoyed my time there. Really, really, again, probably with Notts, probably one of the joint, probably most time where I've enjoyed my football most.
You're kind of it may well be to do with your upbringing and not coming into the league till later, but you're kind of one of those throwbacks, because you know sports scientists abound now in football, don't they? And everyone's checked to the nth degree as to whether they can play. You hear all these phrases, don't you, about minutes in legs and all of this. You know, you never heard it 20 years ago. And I appreciate science moves on. But if you look through your stats, and you've admitted yourself, you've not always been fully fit. You know, every season, the number of appearances you make, it begins with a 4, doesn't it? 43, 46, 42, 45, you know, warrior type mentality.
I don't know if that. I just want to play. I just love playing. That's what you do. I don't want any time in the physio rooms. I don't like missing training. I don't like missing games. And like I say, I'm fortunate, touch wood, I never, apart from a couple of hernia operations, I never had any major injuries. And like I said, I just love playing, love the competition, love the challenge every Saturday, love getting abused from the stands every Saturday. But you know, I always thrived in that competition, and that's what spurred me on. I hated being injured. I was awful when I was injured. I was a right moody one. So it was awful to be around. If I'm same losing games, I just love playing. I don't know if that's a throwback, but I was, I suppose, built for durability. You see some players and the probably that highly tuned that you know they need to be at the peak to perform. I was never like that. I was ready to go and I don't know, paracetamol, ibuprofen and send me out and play and crack on. And like I say, I've been fortunate. I've been really fortunate that I've not had any injuries and I've managed to play the majority of games every season I've been a professional. like I say, I love playing, and like I say, I do put pressure on myself to be fit and to be available for as often as I could be, even like I say, 38, 39. I've done every day pre-season. The managers have come to me going, "You can miss this." And no, well, I think it sort of takes away the excuses. If I can do these runs at 38, 39, then everyone else can do them. So I just love being on the. I used to love being on the training ground. I love the competition.
So the curtain closed on your career at Mansfield. We've had a few questions. So Paul Smith has said, did you ever think twice about playing for Mansfield, given your Notts connections? And Andy Whitley has said, and it's kind of allied to this, were you ever close to returning to Notts as a player for a second time?
Yeah, well, for the first one, no, not really, because the only times Mansfield, we were more looking at Forest when I was at Notts County as our rivals, not Mansfield, and that's not denigrating anyone at the time. But we played Mansfield pre-season once, and that was all I knew about them. To be honest, like I say, we were looking up. To be honest, I'm working for Mansfield, so I have to be careful. I'm not running them down. It's just no. At the time both clubs were at different levels. That's not being disrespectful. We were looking to catch Forest, and that's just where we wanted to get to. So I didn't really look at Mansfield as rivals. I always thought it was Notts and Forest, and then it was Mansfield and Chesterfield. I thought that was like the local derbies around there.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's a modern phenomenon.
I think it's become more of a thing now there, because of close. Yeah,
I grew up, when Notts were a top flight team, and it was Notts and Forest. Yeah, absolutely. So I always struggle with it a bit, to be honest. And clearly now we have to be honest, and Mansfield are a good level above Notts. A good level above Notts, which is sad. What about Andy's question about, were you ever close to returning to Notts as a player? Were there any opportunities?
There was. Yeah, I had a couple of calls, but nothing really came majorly. I would never go back, I don't think. Like I said, I've got that many fond memories of my first spell there. When John Sheridan was there, there was a few bits and pieces, but apart from that, there was nothing. Look, I enjoyed my time there, and I wouldn't rule out coming back further down the line. No, I'm into my coaching, but as a player, it wouldn't have seemed right from my point of view. Anyway, like I say, I wanted to leave that where it was parked, not risk, like I said, that tainting, I suppose, the happy memories I had while I was there.
So at the minute, being right bang up to date, you are employed by Mansfield now, yeah?
I'm doing the college elite development program, where it's just the one below the academy. They go to college 3 or 4 times a week, and they train with us mornings and play in the National Youth Alliance League, which is, like I say, it's just below the 18s, probably on the system, the pyramid, how they go up, just below the actual full-time YDSs. We try and bring them through here, and the good ones we get, we can feed them into the YDSs, and they can go full-time there. But we, like I say, to go off our recommendation for that. But it's like I say, it's rock bottom from the coaching ladder. But I've got my badges, I've got my A licence. I'm going to do my pro licence soon. But actually, I was on the grass coaching. I was very, very inexperienced, because obviously when I was a player, I just wanted to commit everything I play. Especially the older you get, you need to get your rest in. I didn't want to be like unfair to Mansfield, where I was out coaching Thursdays, Fridays, and then turn up the Saturday tired for the games. I thought, no, if I'm employed as a footballer, I'll do it. So although I've done my badges, I basically parked it. So but I'm in now. I'm loving it. Absolutely love coaching. Love working with the lads every day. And like I said, I thought for me it was the right time to retire. Especially what's going on at the minute, the way of the world. But I'm absolutely loving it. Honestly, I really enjoy it, and I'm ambitious. I'm not going to lie, I'm ambitious. I've had to start at the bottom of the pile, but I don't see myself staying there for long. I want to crack on. I want to get in men's football. I want to get up to the first team level. I know I've got to serve my apprenticeship, but I want to fire through it. Like I say, I've started at a good time, just below 40. I've got hopefully loads of coaching years left in me, and it's something I'm really ambitious, and something I want to crack on with.
We wish you every success with the coaching. You've not quite given up on playing yet, though, have you?
No, I still try and kick a ball around while I can, because obviously our games are played on Wednesday afternoon, so I've been turning out for Scarborough this season in the Northern Premier League, and like I say, that's more just for the crack with the lads, and Just like I say, it gets me out of the house on a weekend. I'll Saturday, Sunday off. I can't go and watch a football match in the current climate. So it's look, I still enjoy it. I retired obviously from playing professional football, but look, I love the game. Again, it's just I love challenging myself. I love the competition of a football game, and while I'm fit and able to do it, I'm going to continue at whatever level.
Quick few random questions that I've not asked. From Pythagorean. We should have mentioned it, but we've not. Memories of Turin. I mean, Hughesy tells some great stories about swapping shirts with Perlo, and I think we all thought, didn't we, that when we saw that sort of pre-match entertainment they laid on, which was just out of this world.
Oh, unbelievable. Different world, yeah. I got to Piero's shirt, because again, I've been lucky. I've been so lucky. I was lucky enough to be captain that night. So obviously we went out and done the presentation, the shirt swap, and I was coming off. And he just, again, like you said, he just talking, go, "Oh, you're having a nice trip," and oh Christ, what's going on here? And then obviously we got in the tunnel, and he said, "Oh, you want a shirt?" And then he took mine. He actually took mine, and he gave me his. And I thought, so I didn't tell any of the lads. I put it in my warm up top, and I thought, if someone will have this away. If they see I've got this, I put that in my bag, and I've got it framed. I don't think it's in the garage. It's not.
You got Del Piero shirt, top man.
Del Piero shirt from that night, yeah. So I mean, that's incredible to have his shirt from the first night at the stadium. Was just obviously the private jet. I bet we got the private jet out there, 5-star hotel. It was absolutely surreal. I remember Martin Allen ringing me up and asking me about it. He's going. He rang me up. He's saying, "Oh, Bish, well, we can go to Juventus on a Thursday, but because we play Walsall the Saturday, we're thinking about saying no. I'm not sure we can swing it. And what do you think?" I was like, because I know what he's like. I didn't know what to say. Just went, "Well, it's not really up to me, Gaffer. Obviously, I'm happy to do whatever." And he just started bursting out laughing down the phone. He's going, "Of course we're going, you fucking idiot." And then, but yeah, it was ridiculous. Obviously, Clem come with us from Football Focus. He travelled with us. I met Ravanelli over there. He was coaching in their academy. Obviously, Fabrizio, legend, Middlesbrough, loved him. Got me picture taken with him. I was like a fanboy. Jumped off the coach. "Oh, can I have your picture? Can I have your picture?" And I said Middlesbrough. And his English wasn't very good, but he understood the butter. So it was unbelievable. It was fantastic. Got to train on Juventus's training ground. Obviously, the afternoon before, I can't remember which it was, but just something you don't think you'll ever get at League 2 level. It's just something I'll always be grateful for. And like I say, it's a memory. I've got the DVD. Never watched the DVD, weirdly enough, but I've got it. Like I say, it's memories. You'll have them forever. And for me to tell my son, it's like I say, I'm something just so grateful for.
No, I was there. Wonderful, unbelievable night, and made all the more special because of the way Juventus did it properly. Because we weren't quite sure what to expect, were you?
Yeah.
Turn up, 90-minute exhibition game, a few players here, or but it was a full house. That the people that did the pre-match entertainment, they did the Turin Winter Olympics. I spoke to Juventus. Cost them over £200,000 that presentation. All on the pitch with those animated zebras.
It was unbelievable. It was like the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games. It was,
200 grand. 200 grand.
We sat there in the dugout watching it, just in awe, like mouths open, and couldn't believe what we were seeing. I had an old Blackberry at the time, and I was checking the videos on it. And obviously, I've kept all. I need to get it put onto some type of disc or what. I don't know what to do now on the hard drive. Like I say, you'll never experience anything like that again. For us, it was once in a lifetime.
No, top draw. One I'd forgotten about, Daryl with some hieroglyphics for his Twitter handle. Did you really mean to score with your backside against Charlton?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I think I was even facing the wrong way. Someone's whipped the free kick in, and it just hit me. I mean, again, 1 in a million shot. It hit me and gone in. Well, I think we won 1-0 that night, so yeah, it was a strange one. Certainly one of the most strangest goals I've ever scored.
Rob Davies again. Who would have been your most underrated teammate at Notts?
There was a few. Obviously, I think Mike Edwards when I was there. Even someone like Ricky Ravenhill. I think Luke Rogers done a lot of the donkey work, done a lot of the leg work for Hughesy. It's hard off the top of my head, but going off the championship season, I'd probably go for them three. We had a few. obviously, like to Hughesy, Ben Davies, even Spike to a certain degree got all the headlines. But they were the ones, you know, the base for these lads to go and play and go and do the things.
While you're just remembering all your teammates, we ask each one to name, each guest to name their best 5, 6-a-side team from the players that they played with at Notts. So if you think of all the players you were there at Notts for 4 years, pick your 5-a-side team. It can't include you. So goalkeeper.
Yeah, I'd have to be Casper.
Yeah.
Got to be Casper. Yeah, I'd have to stick him in. Well, we want 2 defenders.
Yeah.
You have to put solid. How can you leave out Sol Campbell? God, you know, it's hard because when I look back, there must have been hundreds. Like as we were talking about turnover manager players, it was ridiculous actually. For 4 years, even the turnover players was ridiculous. 5-a-side defender. I'll put Big Chief in. Obviously, I'll get along really well with Chief at Mansfield. He was a really good footballer. You know, you're talking 5-a-side, maybe not 11-a-side, but certainly 5-a-side. He was good with his feet on the training ground. 2 midfielders, Ben Davies. Obviously, Ben, technically, unbelievably, Ben. Again, one of my good mates I really got along with. Who else would we go for? Obviously, I put Uzi in up front. Can't have anyone else.
Put him up, could you?
No, he'd beat me up if any other. So put him in there. And one more. Probably Judgy, Alan Judge, 5-a-side.
Yes, Alan Judge, yeah.
Technically brilliant, Judgy. Little 5-a-side player, diminutive, you know, low centre of gravity. Definitely, probably there. That's not a bad team.
One last question. You've kind of answered this in a way, or you've answered it as much as you're gonna. I would suggest, given you're currently at Mansfield. Kyle, I think it's Motson. Would Bish put his hat in the ring if the Notts job became available in the future?
In the future, certainly. In the future, whether that's the future as in 2, 3, 5, 10 years time, I'm not sure. I think you've got to be so careful now if you want to take a number one job. You see managers 10 years can be as short as 2-3 months if it goes wrong, and then they're out the game, or they don't get the opportunity again to be a number one. So I'm very relaxed as to when I want to move up, although I don't want to be pigeonholed as like an under-18s manager, an academy coach. I think that can happen maybe if you stay at that level for too long. I've seen that myself. I've worked with some really good managers. I've got loads of ideas. I've got loads of things. Like I say, I've got books down the years, good training sessions I thought were okay, but I could improve on that. I just make notes, you know, and just because you do forget down the years. And I always got told that. You know, make notes, training sessions you like. If you want to go that way, make notes, write stuff down so you don't forget it. What makes a good dressing room? What makes a bad dressing room? So I've got all that. But look, it's just ideas. And like I say, I'm a complete novice, and who knows? It might all be rubbish. It might not work. But I suppose that's why you go in at the level I've gone at, because then you can trial and error sort of thing. What works, what lads don't like, what sessions looks like when you actually set it out, rather than just in your head and in a textbook, because it's completely different things. You can have the same session and 2 different managers putting on, and you think it's rubbish under one manager, and one manager puts it on, you think it's brilliant, because I think that the delivery is important of your session, the enthusiasm, the tone you use with the players, all this. And like I say, some of it I'm really interested in. I'm really interested in learning and developing myself as a person and as a coach. And like I say, for me, it's fantastic. But I know I've gone the long way around here. But yeah, if it'd be brilliant to come back in some capacity in the future.
And I think what one characteristic that is you have in abundance, and talking to you know, you have a rounded experience of football, don't you? You know, you weren't in the academies at 17, 18, 19. You know, you've done the hard yards. And I think one of the most important things is man management. You know, managing men. You know,
we spoke about Neil Warnock, what he's doing at Middlesbrough. He's basically got the same group of players Woodgate had, and he's turned it around. He's done it all through his career. I think there's a lot to be said for the old school man management. Look, time evolves, if things evolve, you've got to take on a board, like you said, the data, the GPS, all this business. But I think there's a lot to be said for old school values of hard work, organisation, and getting on the training ground and spending the time and developing players, not just saying, oh, these are, we spoke about, we touched on it, turnover 20, 25 players every year. I don't think it works. Get on, spend some time with them, get the right, you might need tweaks, you might want tweaks. But if you're worth your salt as a coach, you've got to back yourself to go into dressing rooms and improve them. And like I say, that each idea is, like I say, I'm not saying I can do that, because at the minute I probably couldn't. Look, I'll be honest, I'm a novice coaching wise, but I want to get to that level where I think, I can go into a dressing room and make a positive difference. And like I say, someone like Neil Warnock, you see, done it year in, year out. I'm pleased someone like that's in charge of my club, Middlesbrough.
Neal, it's been fantastic talking to you. Thank you very much indeed. All the very, very best in your coaching and ultimately, I'm sure, managerial career. Good luck if you're turning out for Scarborough Athletic this weekend. And on behalf of all Notts County fans, thanks for the great memories you gave us over 4 years at Meadow Lane.
No, it was a pleasure. Top man. Thanks for having me on.